when I went out to see them in Georgia, he actually I was just supposed to visit for a week, but he proposed to me the day I came.
The very first day.
The very first day. And
this was after you...
The very first day. Greetings and welcome to those who just joined us. This is another noteworthy edition. This is the third video. We'll link the others in the description about what's going on in the Snowden universe. Seeking Sister Lies is what I called it because there's a lot of stuff that's coming out. But these is a couple from the Sister Wife TLC, and we have Ari Joseph sometime last week. She came out with this expose video and giving information about how she was one of the many that they went through before they actually got on the show. So to recap, she was with them. She knew them since 2012. She actually moved in the house. So she's bringing us up to where the moment he gets to the house or she gets to the house, he wants to propose to kind of lock in the deal. So let's continue listening.
Had that horrible experience with Ashley when she came to visit.
Yeah, the year and a half prior, after. And after she and I reconnected, bonded, whatever, she apologized. I decided to go forward with it. And we decided that I would come out and visit both of them and just kind of get a feel for the family.
And that was to Pennsylvania?
No, this was at this time, they were in Georgia.
Okay. So, now, when you went to go visit them, the night he proposed, did you bring, like, your kids or...
Yes. I have 3 daughters, but I only brought the baby. My 2 older girls were with their father. And so
just to recap, if you didn't see the other video, she said in 2012 they met in a polygyny group, and he slid into the DM. I'm paraphrasing, and he wanted to holler at her, but at the time she was pregnant and had a mate. So 2 years later they tried to get up again, and Ashley comes out to visit, and they realized that it wouldn't be a good fit. And a year and a half later, because it seems like they really wanted to get at this sister, now Ashley calls and says, "Oh, I had a dream about you. You was on the beach." And she was like, and then they reconnected and bonded. And now here she is, somehow no longer in the relationship, and going to their house. And I'm taking notes, going to their house now. And Dimitri, again, now, since they've been pursuing her which will be 4 years now, she finally acquiesced. And now she's finally in agreement. So I just wanted to catch you up to speed in case you didn't know what was going on.
It was just me and the baby that came to visit. And Dimitri paid for the ticket. He flew me out, and he picked me up from the airport. So when I got to the house, I was immediately greeted by Ashley naked. She didn't have any clothes on.
So you ring the doorbell.
Yo, this dude, he was like, "Hold on, let's go in. I'm not really computing." Bucket naked. Again, this is one testimony. We would have to get verification on, but according to her testimony, like they say, allegedly, but this is her testimony, she was greeted at the door by a naked Ashley Snowden.
And Ashley opens up, just, "Hey, I'm welcome."
Yeah, she was naked. And they proceeded to tell me that was a requirement for the wives in the house, is that they are naked.
Okay, so...
He coughing. They wasted no time. They like, let's get it in quickly. You know what I'm saying? Welcome, and this is what we need you to do. Like, how did that go? You got your bags, you got your little baby, and they bust open the door, bucket naked, like just throw you in the deep end?
Can't even breathe. All right, so you knock on a door with your child, right? And Ashley opens it up, and she's naked.
Yeah.
And then I guess you enter, right? Yeah. You go in.
I go in
with your kid
naked. So we had already talked about nudity, right? But I wasn't expecting them to be nude around the children, if that makes sense. Like, I knew that we talked about like being nude, and they liked being nude around the house, but I did not expect that. I didn't expect her to be naked. So anyway.
Wait. Let me just kind of hone this in. So Ashley opens the door naked. Okay. So you walk in, and then was there a demand that you strip right away?
Yeah. After they proceeded to explain, they're like, "Well, you have to be naked."
And was Dimitri naked?
No, he wasn't naked. He was.
What in all of Attica is going on? Like, not that, like, welcome to my abode. Strip search, you know what I'm saying? Strip naked, what, you got a wire on you? Like, and then, like, I have the same question he asked, like, and then you entered? Like, you went in without any reservations? What was going on? What was really going on?
Clothes.
Okay, so
But he got naked around there. He was walking around, and I had to tell him about it, that I didn't feel comfortable with his penis being out around my child, so he would wear boxers.
So the house rule was that, like, everybody who lived in the house had to be naked at all times.
Yeah, and the children, they made sure the girls kept their panties on, but Dimitri demanded that the women be. I think it was more so the women than anything, because he
was the only man in the house.
Right. He just wanted the adult women more so. He was more worried about me and Ashley being naked. He didn't have to be naked necessarily. It was weird.
The children were also, did they have diapers on, or were they naked?
Yeah, the baby boy had diapers and pajamas because he had really bad eczema and she didn't want him to scratch. My girl and their daughter, they wore panties. So, babies didn't have on shirts, but it was me and Ashley. Even one time when I wanted to wear panties, it was a problem. I couldn't wear panties.
Okay.
Like, they'd ask, well, what's wrong? What's going on with you? So yeah, that was kind of weird, but here I am, I'm like, okay, they're different.
Kind of weird that you wanted to put on under and someone questioned the reason and for you putting on undergarments. Kind of weird. I'll just press play, okay?
People are different.
Your first day there.
My first day, but he also proposed to me that same day. So I'm so excited to be there, and I'm remembering all these wonderful things about them that they talk about, how all the values that they say that they have. Dimitri is very charming, and he comes off as this person, this man who would give you any and everything. And Ashley.
Sorry about that. I had to beat my horn. The children are running around here. I got to keep my eye on them while I'm doing this thing and taking notes. But yeah, charming. Usually, they need a certain level of charm to be able to convince people and pull them into their thought processes. And the reason why oftentimes a charming person of this nature has to work quick, because the charm cannot be kept up for a very long, extended period of time. Okay, they just made the ball. You know what? Pause. I'll be right back. I'll take a little sip drink. All right, we're back. Glad you enjoyed that little intermission. I had to deal with the children for a second. All right, we're back. Let's see what's going on.
He comes off as this very sweet, loving, supportive, not jealous, this is what we want type attitude. And that was not the case. So I learned that as time wore on. The first 2 months skipping. He proposed and I accepted. So I went back home the next week. Dimitri asked me to sell my things or give them away because we were going to buy all new things. So I believed him. I believe that he wanted to buy all new things.
Another tactic we saw on the show, there's a level of disenfranchisement where the person uproots, comes to where you are, you charm them in, and then they don't necessarily have another place to go back to. Oftentimes when you're entering into this space, I said before, you're alienated, because if you don't come from family and friends who are supportive, they're going to say, you know what, you can do that, but you're going to be on your own. So it kind of creates this perfect storm around the person. And if they have been getting in her ear, as she says, then she's already like convinced that, listen, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to be great. And we saw that all throughout the show as well.
Move into this big house or what have you. This is what he was telling me. So I ended up selling my stuff and giving away what I couldn't sell, giving up my apartment. And he came with a U-Haul truck. I packed a few things that I had and I drove behind my car and we drove back to Atlanta. So now we're in Georgia.
One thing else I wanted to note that's noteworthy is that they move a lot. In the show, they were like, after they met Vanessa, it's like Ashley came up and said, hey, why don't we move to California? And he's like, California? But according to what Ari is saying, when she first met them, they were in PA, and then they went to Georgia, and then they went to California. So we see moving long distances a lot. Don't know what that's about, but we'll continue.
And I come into a very small apartment.
Now, what did Dimitri do at the time? How did he make money? What was Ashley doing? What was their how did they support themselves?
So the apartment, they lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, and they kept telling me that they were moving, they planned to move. They were just waiting for their wife to make that decision. So they wanted all of us to make the decision as to where we would move. Dimitri at the time worked for a company. I think he was doing some type of consulting, but he worked from home, and he was home all the time. So from sunup to sundown, he's at his desk. Ashley did nothing. She was unemployed. And I've never known her to actually have a job. So I'm not sure what she had ever did.
So Dimitri stayed in his room all day on a computer while you and Ashley naked just, kind of fed him great.
Children. I spent more time with Ashley than I did with him. And the children barely saw him as well. And when they saw him, it's right before bed or something.
Let me just say, it's interesting, and I've said this before, when she said Ashley does nothing, not necessarily caping for anybody, but if somebody's taking care of their children, if the person is taking care of their children and their household, that is doing something. Because if you were to give your children to the daycare or the nanny or the au-pair, that would be a job for the daycare, the nanny, or the au-pair. So just because the person is their mother and not being compensated monetarily for the job that they're doing doesn't mean they're not doing anything. It just means that they're working within the confines of the home as opposed to working outside. It kind of irks me a little bit when people be like, the person is not doing nothing, but you would pay somebody else to do the same job that they're doing. It's just, potato, but let's continue.
It's interesting the way that they portray themselves as great parents on TV, but in real life, those children are very much ignored and neglected. In fact, they knew. I always thought something was very interesting, and all of the wives shared this sentiment that she was very clingy.
Yeah.
And she would whine and cry a lot. And Ashley was not very nice to Nenu. Yeah, so she just...
Well, I've been predicating, my thought was that, people, I did the live last night, which I know you watch, and I've been saying, I don't think Ashley's innocent at all. I think Ashley's, if not as culpable as, the ringleader. Is Ashley,
She is. She was very sadistic, very, very evil, very controlling. And all of the wives, because I talked to them all, they all share the same stories. She controlled most of everything that was happening in the house, and she would talk badly about you to Dimitri if she saw that Dimitri...
Well, let me let her finish.
...liked you.
I had a theory, okay? I shared it a long time ago. I'll share it again. As it relates to the polygyny dynamic, I'll make it short. That in this polygyny dynamic, you're going to have different ways that is set up. Either the women are going to get along, and the husband is going to be the outsider, so the women team up together and they play that power play against the husband. Or you're going to have a wife, it doesn't have to be the first one, who's going to be vying for the husband's attention. And so she may friend up the other women, but she really wants to make sure she has an inroads to him. Or you have the opposite, where there's somebody in there, the wife who's in there, who doesn't really care about anybody, and she's just existing. But either way, if you check out the dynamic, the one she's describing is that Ashley's playing like she wants to have this relationship with the women just so that she can have information to feed to the husband, so that she can remain in control. Because it's a destabilizing thing to actually be in this polygynous setting, and so you have to have kind of a leg up, which is what she's saying she's controlling. But let's continue. That's what we're looking at.
He would turn him against you, and I figured this out when I saw text messages between the two of them. I saw how she would say things, bad things, or, well, Ari, I'm worried about Ari because she breaks everything. Or you saw how she talked to you, or I didn't like how she said that. And that type of thing. It was very, very, very evil. And then I noticed that she became rude to the children. You know, she wasn't very nice to my daughters, and my daughters would tell me that. You know,
how so?
They would say,
because Chrissy, Chrissy just had a restraining order placed against them, and it was placed with the children. So I'm wondering if that's got something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I also went live about last night with, Jay, we'll call him Jay, who with the kidnapping.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that kind of all just like melds into one.
So the Jay situation comes up toward.
But no, let's not get to Jay yet.
Okay.
Let's stay on this plane. So Ashley was not nice to your kids.
No. Things started to change. The dynamics started to change. We were supposed to homeschool. We had schedules, and she wanted to be in the kitchen more. She didn't want to be with the children. So it was things like not being able to share the chores, to her having issues with me having sex with Dimitri. Initially, when I got there, he and I would be intimate. She would be jealous. Like I even forgot this, to mention this, that he required us to sleep in the same bed.
Pause.
Okay. All right. Well, Jesus.
Pause. I question them, and I'm also questioning what's going on with Ari. What's going on in your mind at the time? Where were you in your thought process? Where were you in your life? Right? That as they keep pushing the envelope further and further, you are in agreement with things that clearly, are suspect, like walking around the house bucket naked in front of children. Now she's saying that they want them to sleep in the same bed he wants, and they're complying. You know what I mean? It's let me take my notes, y'all. This is crazy. Again, this is her testimony, so we have to use it as her testimony.
All right, let's talk about that.
Yeah, he required us to sleep in the same bed, and I actually wanted my own space, and he did not want that. And
going into this household, you had to sleep. You didn't have your own room?
No.
So you slept in, I guess, the master bedroom with both Dimitri and Ashley?
Dimitri slept in the middle. I slept on one side, and Ashley slept on the other.
What in the...
And they tried to have threesomes, and I denied because I wasn't into women. And Ashley was upset about that too, oddly.
So let me get this straight. So you guys slept in the same bed every night, and then he would have sex with Ashley next to you, and then he would have sex with you while Ashley watched.
Yo, my paper fell.
In fact, she demanded.
My paper fell. I'm sorry. What in the... I tell you, and it's not to throw any shade, but I've been investigating and studying the polygyny dynamic for a while now. I'm not new to this conversation. And I find it with Ashley's take on the way she pursues it, and I need us to all be loving and embracing. And I'm like, something is suspect. We've done the studies. The word in many culture means adversary. The sister wife is not a concept you find in biblical scripture. It's not a concept that you find in antiquity. This is some new remixed conversation about how you expect this to look. In antiquity, they understood that this person is coming into your space, and in Hebrew it means like an adversary or a narrow strait. Okay, there's a limited space to go through, and there's too many people in this way. So for now them to come to a space where you want to go beyond sharing this dude to going into this other woman's energy and actually being present, while that is questionable. That is questionable. Breathe, Muna. You know what?
That she see what was, she be there when he and I had our first experience. She demanded it. Very awkward.
we saw a bit of this, not to this degree because it was on TV, when she was very upset about the Jocelyn situation, when she was very instrumental, like matchmaking and making sure that Vanessa steamed her yoni, and then like, okay, now you can enter in. But we don't know what the camera saw, what they didn't see, or whether she evolved from this place to just being able to have open conversations. We don't know, but yeah, we still saw her in a way being the mediator between the two into when he can enter in into the secret place. You understand?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, this is insane. This is. Did that not scare you, like, at all? Like, did you, like, you know?
I don't know. I want to say that I can't even. I always ask myself, like, where did I have to be? Where did I have to be mentally in order for me to even accept a lot of those things? Because a lot of that stuff was weird to me. Some things were like, okay, you know, they're different. I knew that they were different because I'm different in many ways. But a lot of things just kind of started to not feel right as things continued on. Like, you know, them not wanting me to get my own space. Me not being able to leave the house without Ashley or Dimitri.
Wait, you couldn't leave the house by yourself?
No. It was rare that I left the house alone.
Wow.
Ashley was always with me. Or Dimitri, you know, and that was, you know, he and I like went on a date maybe twice, and that was it. So I spent most of my time with Ashley and the children. And it was either cooking, cleaning, or homeschooling. When we would take the children out, we had to make sure that we got back before we had to cook for Dimitri, because we had to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So he had a very strict schedule. He had a very strict cleaning schedule. So I had to, you know, clean certain things, and I ended up cleaning more and doing more laundry because she didn't like laundry and that kind of thing. So, like I said, I ended up doing more with the children. I ended up babysitting more while she was cooking or doing something else.
Did she say cooking? And we saw that. I don't know if you saw the recent episode, season 3, episode 8, where the corona came through and Chrissy was the only one there, and she has the camera and she's like, "Oh, Chrissy is cooking her first meal since she's here." And I found a little bit of shade, but that kind of corroborates that it would be Ashley who's cooking. And I forgot who it was, whether it was Taylor or somebody who came through the door, and then she asked them, "Do you like doing laundry?" Oh, I think it was Chrissy. "Do you like doing laundry?" "Well, that's good because I don't like doing laundry and you don't like cooking." So she's Ari is corroborating some of what we've seen on screen that makes it kind of more believable. You know what I mean? Not to say yes or no because we wasn't there, but she's saying some of the similar things that we see playing out before us.
You had mentioned that Ashley was interested in you as well, right? She had feelings and she wanted. What you mentioned last night to me, I don't know if you want to go into that.
So
you don't have to.
Okay. I'll just say this with Ashley. Dimitri tried for us to have he kept trying for us to have a threesome. And Ashley had expressed to me that she wanted me to want her the way I wanted Dimitri.
Did she do the beloved touch me on the inside parts? Like what I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to be. My issue oftentimes is that people have alternative motives. So when you hear them talk, we want to have a big old family. And I'm going to get to the first season because I think it's important to this discussion. But we want to have a big old family. We want to have all these children. But you have at the basis of this some perverse thought. Right? Children don't come about between two women. I'm just being honest. So what is the lure for you to say that you want to practice polygyny, multiple women as you're the man, but at the same time, you're trying to lead them into a space. And so much so now that the woman is trying to approach another woman and you're encouraging it. Like what's going on there? What's really going on there? Yo, sis, I don't know how you stayed there that long.
Want me to I guess, want to be her lover as well. And I couldn't do it. I remember one time I was leaned over on the counter, and I'm naked at this time, and she comes behind me and she slaps me on my ass, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm not, like, it was kind of weird. It was kind of weird. And it went from that to her wanting, like, her hating me. She went from wanting me and me rejecting her to her disliking me and, nitpicking fights, saying really nasty, mean things.
Was it because you rejected her? Like, is that what triggered her? Like that you're like, no?
She would say things like she thought that I didn't really want her. I just wanted Dimitri. I was just there for
Well, that's what you signed up for.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought, we were just going to be sisters. It's a sisterhood, but she wanted something more. And so, yeah, there are things I want to touch on. So,
wait, we're going to pause there because that one, we got to salah on that one. We got to meditate on that one. I'm taking notes. I forgot my notebook today, so I had to take notes on something else. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We're going to come back and finish out this interview and kind of continue to corroborate some of the stuff that she's saying. So not only that we can get a blueprint of what's happening in their life, but also a blueprint of how, the MO of how people usually move towards getting people on board with their thing and then switching it up on them, and how dangerous it can be if you don't have if you don't keep your mind and your wits about you. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is Amuna. This has been Noteworthy. We will come back and have more conversation on Seeking Sister Lives. Sister Lives. All right. 1